My name is Ann Chamberlain, and this is my story. It starts in first grade. I was at a small town, and I was with the same students from kindergarten to 8th grade. In first grade is when we started to learn to read. And we would sit all at a table, and we would take turns reading out of this book. It became very clear very fast that I couldn't read. I suddenly went from friends and play dates to no friends. All the way through 8th grade, I was shunned. Eventually, people began to respect me for being a little bit smarter because I was actually asked to be part of a math contest in the greater region. But that didn't make a difference. I had already been cast as a loser, and shunned I was. The high school was comprised of students from lots of different schools, so I was able to lose my friends from my elementary school. There I got my footing, got good grades, kind of, and got into a 4-year school, one of just a handful of students who actually went on. In school, I was actually able to kind of fake it. I went to a small private school where we took essay tests and not standardized tests. I quickly learned how to write around the answer and to always refer to things that were brought up in class because I stopped reading the books. And I knew I was just getting by when I graduated college and could not read a newspaper. Several years later, I was helping my brother over the phone. I was tutoring him in math because I was good at it. And he would always get stuck in the third step of long division. And I said to him, I get stuck in the same spot. Do you think this is because you're dyslexic? And he said, yes. So I said to myself, maybe I'm dyslexic. So I went to a counselor and I did a 15-minute test, read a passage, answered some questions, and it was declared I could understand things, so I wasn't stupid, but I read slow, so I was dyslexic. I could take Ritalin or drink a lot of coffee. So I decided to drink a lot of coffee for 20 years. I've been working very hard at trying to read better and faster and been reading on my own. But I ran into issues with my career when I started reporting to people who were different than me. I was in sales, started reporting to CEOs, and I hired a business coach. I went through a lot of tests. Turns out I'm very good with spatial, cognitive reasoning, and some high-level thinking. But I'm a very slow reader. And he said, you really need to address your dyslexia. And I said, I do. I drink a lot of coffee. And he said, they've come a long way with that, Ann. You really need to start doing some research. So I found Dr. Books. And I came here to learn how to read, write, and speak. But what I didn't know was that I needed to learn how to be a reader, a speaker, and a writer. For 40 some odd years, I had been putting a veil up around me and trying to deceive people so they could not see my dyslexia. Sometimes it eked through, but most often I was able to hide it. Now I need to be able to stand straight and to say my words and to show who I am. And after 1 week of being here, I feel like I have the confidence to go out in the world and to be myself and to speak and to read and to write. And that's my story. What I discovered along the way was a surprise to me. I came for the kind of the 3 R's, if you will. You know, reading, the hardcore stuff, the reading, the speaking, the ability to think logically. And what I didn't realize is the emotional distress that had been going on in my life since first grade of trying to cover this up. By spending some time with the feelings back in the first grade and some other times in my life along the way where my dyslexia really impacted me, I was able to work through these issues and be able to come out the other side as a stronger person. I'm a little more vulnerable, But I believe that by being here in a space for 1 week, which is very caring, very open, very nurturing, that I now have, if you will, kind of the ingredients I need to be able to go forth into life and to try this. And I know it's going to be super scary. And I know there will be sometimes I email Dr. Books and say, I think I messed up, but I know I won't be able to do it if I don't try. And I think I will be able to get through this process a lot faster now than when I was in the 1st grade. So I am so grateful for the week I took off of work, for the week that my family gave me, and for my mother who came with me to support me, and my friends who let me stay in their house. I mean, this has been a community effort, and I couldn't have done it without them or Dr. Books. So, for me, it was a miracle. And I encourage anybody who has really had enough of living with their disability, whether it's dyslexia, ADD, or whatever it is, to come and get a new chance on life. That's what I'm looking forward to. And the hope started right away when we started to work on my feet. I realize that's pretty far from my brain and my mouth, but we started with my feet. And we started with the arches. And my arches had been falling for years, and I've had to have insoles. And when we started with the arches, and we started to build the foundation, I knew that I could build myself as big as I wanted to be on my feet. And my arches are stronger, my toes are stronger, and my ankles are straight. And who would have thought I would have got that from just trying to learn to read? But again, it's about me, the reader, me, the writer, and me, the speaker, that is most important.
And you got yourself.
I am finding myself. I think you found me, but now I have to go find me.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's very far away. I think it's right here. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to getting to know myself.
What are you thinking about your ability to learn language and reading at this point? Do you feel like you have steps to where you're going to be able to gain words, gain reading fluency, now that all the senses are interconnected and you have the neurological glitches cleared? Do you feel like you've got a path for learning, or that you're capable of walking that path?
I think that's the most important question. Am I capable of walking the path to learning? And the answer is yes. Today, after my first session, I went for a walk. And first session meaning there's multiple sessions in a day. And I went for a walk, and for the first time, I could see the leaves on the trees again. I shouldn't say first time in a long time. And I could see all sides of me. And I began to realize that I need to start taking this in, and then I can start to see the written word, and I can start to learn. And it will take a little while, I'm sure, and I know I'll have to practice, but I know I can do it.
Do you feel like the visual healing that happened is discernible to you? That's what I'm hearing you say with the leaves, that this visual healing, this visual integration happened.
Yes, yes. Visual and actually audible. So now I can hear and I can see and I can start to line them up. And I'm looking forward, Dr. Books promises me it's coming, I am looking forward to the day I can read to myself without saying it out loud. Imagine, I'm going to be able to read faster than I can speak. And hallelujah, because I get 100 emails a day. I am going to get hours back in my day because I can read faster. And I can start to do what I'm good at, which is thinking strategically as opposed to answering email after email after email. So I see a bright future.
Yeah.
So all important emails I write to my boss and my clients is reviewed by my husband first. That takes about 24 hours for me to write it and send it to him, for him to create a break in his day, for him to read it, and sometimes ask me questions, and then to send it. Imagine how much more responsive I will be when I can write my own emails. What would I recommend to parents with children with dyslexia or ADD or dysphagia or something that just seems a little off? I would recommend a couple things. One is dyslexics think very differently. And it's about encouraging that way of thinking and respecting it. And then helping the child understand that they are unique in the world, but their way of thinking may not be the way others think. And that the gap needs to be tread somewhere, somehow. And that's where people like Dr. Books can help, is to actually cross-train the brain. Let you still take advantage of being the spatial person you are, or the conceptual thinker you are as a dyslexic, but to also be able to transcend to the other logical side and say, this is what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking this, and let me explain it to you, Mr. Logical Thinker. And I think it's important to be able to applaud the thinking, but be able to communicate back to society. Because without that connection, you're going to be shunned and a weirdo. But instead, you want to be seen as a savant and a leader and an innovator. And you can only do that if you can communicate to both sides. I think this kind of work does that kind of thing.
I had a lot of people and I go, do you think God's going to take away from you what you're good at? Well, why not we just amplify and add some more channels?
Yeah, add more channels. That's
Yeah.
exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And add that ability to communicate back and forth. Yeah. I'll probably still need somebody to say, they're logical thinkers, they're not quite like you, but at least I know then that I need to make this translation, and I know I can go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're right. I don't want to lose being dyslexic.
No, there are beautiful things.
There are beautiful things.
There are beautiful qualities, no, with or without the label. Those are good qualities, and we can
Yeah.
just add more repertoire.
Add more to it. Yes, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And unlock the potential of both sides.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd like to see if your mom...
Okay, it's really hard because you can search and look and try as many things as you can. You don't really know what's going on with your child. You don't really know what's going to happen. You don't really know what's the best solution or who has it. And so you try a lot of different things, and everybody's different and every course of action is different. And now there's so many scary things out there now with medication and pills and so it's pretty frustrating. So I'm thrilled that this is working for Anne. Yeah. And that we feel like going down the right path, the correct path. Yeah. It's very rewarding.